All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Tuesday again. Good afternoon if you're on Eastern time. And again, we have Sabrina on the Skype today, and we're going to be talking about short sales. And it's a very opportune time, let's say, because we just had some huge success in short sales this week, and Sabrina's going to kind of brag about it a bit. And one thing about short sales that before we get into Sabrina's talking is that short sales are an exit strategy, and we can do short sales on both firsts and seconds. So if you buy a first and you can do a short sale, you're in complete control. If you are in second, you also exert a great deal of control, and Sabrina's going to talk about that today because the successes that she had just recently were on seconds. So let's get started. For those of you that know Sabrina, welcome her. For those that don't, Sabrina is our Executive Vice President at Asset Management, and very experienced in the workout process from both a lender's point of view after having I won't tell you how long, but a long banking career, and has been basically working with private investors for the last 4 or 5 years, very knowledgeable in the industry. So thanks, Sabrina, for being available. And by the way, a couple days late, but happy Mother's Day. And so let's talk about short sales. I think I'd like to have you kind of fill the audience in a little bit about the difference between us initiating a short sale with a homeowner, why we would initiate a short sale, and then possibly buying a note and finding out that the home is in a short sale. So can you kind of go through that first, and let's just kind of discuss short sales in general and those two different approaches.
Okay. First, I'd like to start off with the borrower, working with the borrower and trying to get them to list their property for a short sale. We have a unique situation right now where we have a family where there's a daughter and a father on the loan, and they are completely emotionally detached from this property. The daughter, who was a signer on the loan, she actually has gotten married and has a new home and pretty much has washed her hands. So I have taken it upon myself to find a short sale specialist in the area, which is a real estate agent, and did an introduction. And I did the introduction, and Chrissy and I got an email telling us that she was a little bit confused because she felt like we were going to handle the short sale. Told her, no problem, we'll handle it. I needed a borrower's authorization. I needed the most recent statement from the financial institution that holds their first, and we're going to get to work on that. This should be an easy process, even to the point where if I need to get them to give us a limited power of attorney for a real estate transaction, if we get them out of the house. We don't have any numbers on where we're going to get to or where we're going to try to get to, but we at least know that there's going to be some money there for us for the second, where right now we're getting no money at all from the homeowner because they don't have the money to pay. They've already modded their first. They went from a $3,000 a month payment down to a $1,200 a month payment, and there's still no money left for us as far as a payment. So our best exit strategy is to short sale that property. And with us helping the homeowner, they will probably be grateful that we are giving them a clean slate, and they're able to walk away with their dignity, their self-respect, and they don't have this big cloud hanging over their head about this house. So we haven't completed this, but we are basically being proactive to help the homeowner get out of this situation.
Okay, so here's a case where the homeowner simply not only doesn't want the house anymore, but can't afford the house even if they did want it. And and we were kind of the driving force, or you were the driving force. The workout department, let's say, was the driving force of getting this house into a short sale, correct? I mean, you went out and hired the agent to list it, and kind of saw the borrower do a sigh of relief that, oh, thank you for taking this over. Can you give us just insight, as I know a lot of people don't think short sales work, especially for a second. So I don't want to steal your thunder on the what we paid for the note and what we're going to get out of it. But can you tell me just the time frame that it took to get to where we are this week?
It's taken a while, because this is actually something that I inherited from Chrissy. So this has been a long process, because this is something that she was working on with them, and I think that there was a lot of fear, not the unknown. So now, once we put the wheels into motion, it's happened pretty quickly. I think I reached out to an agent at the beginning of April. I have a person that I deal with in the industry that actually can find us an REO agent or a short sale specialist in anywhere in the United States. It's a referral program. She does the introduction, and normally we get one of the top agents in the area that's used to dealing with these type of situations. So it took a little bit of time for us to actually get that agent, and he reached out to me last week, and he's already made contact with the borrower over the weekend. The borrower has already emailed Chrissy and I this morning, and we're moving along in the right direction. So since we've gotten the things in place, such as an agent wanting to do this and them agreeing to do it, we're moving pretty quickly, and hopefully they will either get that power of attorney for a real estate transaction executed for me by the end of the week, so we can move forward and just get them out of the way.
Okay, so I don't think that it is over 2 years. I think it's less than 2 years that we have owned this note. I'm not absolutely positive, but I think it is less
than 2 years.
It is less than 2 years. Okay, so when we talk about profit, which I'm going to hold you off, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, because I want you to kind of go through the negotiation with the first and so on. So can you talk a little bit about the credit rating? What the difference between a foreclosure on your credit score versus a short sale on your credit score, and why it would be beneficial for this homeowner to do the short sale if they, instead of just saying, take the house, go to foreclosure.
Well, one of the things, once a foreclosure happens on the credit report, it becomes public record, and it actually it decreases the credit score severely. So now you have a public record of a foreclosure action on the credit report, and that just doesn't look good. Where if you do a short sale, even though that there may be verbiage on the credit report, if the lender is credit reporting amount settled for less than owed on the account, but at least that it shows that there was an effort made. And it's looked at differently than it is just the foreclosure and them walking away. And they're still in control of their destiny if they choose to do a short sale. A foreclosure, once that hits the credit report, there's nothing any of us can do to remove that, because it's part of a public record. Okay. It's in the court system. So that's the difference, and that's the benefit of them allowing a short sale to take place. And we didn't have to initiate foreclosure to get them to that place. Sometimes you do have to initiate foreclosure to get the homeowner to agree to do a short sale, but in this case, we did not have to.
Yeah, I've heard said that a foreclosure is a 250 point hit on your credit score immediately, and a short sale could be 100 points. So there's a big difference there if you started out with somewhat of a decent credit score. Big difference. And I think most lenders today would consider a buyer 2 years after a short sale where on a foreclosure, you're looking 7 to 10 years probably before you would ever be able to buy again. So that, I think that's part of the advice that you would give to the borrower, I think, if you were looking for a short sale. And I forgot, I there might be people on here that don't know what a short sale means. And simply, short sale is for the house being sold and the lenders agreeing to take less than what is owed on the property. So you're getting a short payoff. That's all that a short sale means. So okay, so kind of now, can you give us a little insight into what happens if you or one of your workout specialists were to start contacting a homeowner after we first got the note and found out that, oh, it's already in a short sale, it's already listed? Is there anything you do differently there?
Yes, there's a couple of things that you do differently, especially if it's a new loan. So you need to make sure that your assignments are recorded. You need to make sure that all of your paperwork is, lined up. If there's any exceptions, if it's an exception or if there's a break in the assignment chain, you want to move very quickly to try to get that corrected so you don't have any hangups at closing, especially when you're going to play hardball. So that's one of the things that you need to check. So if you find that a property is listed already when you're doing your due diligence, make sure that you make that loan a priority one to make sure that you're not going to have any issues once you have purchased that loan, so you can move smoothly and make a smooth transition to your closing. And just make sure all of your ducks are in a row. That's one thing. The other thing is actually find out who's working as far as if there's a negotiator or if there's a short sale specialist that's working on the account. A lot of times you'll find that there's law firms involved helping the homeowner do a short sale, and they're charging a fee. And when they're charging that fee, that kind of can dip into your bottom line and what you're going to recover. So you also need to make sure that you request a copy of the preliminary HUD so that you can basically see where all the money is going, especially if you're going to take a hit. One of the big popular things right now is that Freddie and Fannie only requires you or only allows you to get, a certain percentage of the closing. And, you'll see anywhere from $6,000 to $12,000, and it's a percentage of the sale. And my rebuttal to that is that I'm not operating under Freddie or Fannie guidelines, and I didn't get any bailout money, so I'm not obligated to do that. And they think that I'm insane when I start negotiating with them, but bottom line is that we're all in it to make money, and just because they put a figure in front of you, that does not mean you have to accept that figure. At the end of the day, everybody wants to close, and if you're the person that's holding up the closing, you have a little more power than you realize.
So you're saying that even as the holder of a second, you can hold up a close?
Absolutely.
How do you do that?
Don't tell them yes. Don't give them a letter.
All right. Don't agree to their price, right? I mean, they offer you $12,000, you say no way. Okay, so in that case, a difference between a first and a second. Can you give the viewers a little bit of advice? If it's a first, kind of a slam dunk if you have agreement from the homeowner, because we then would make the decision, correct? If it then the difference between a first and a second.
Well, one of the things I do want to point out to you in reference to a first lien holder, I still would recommend that you review the HUD, because sometimes there's a lot of padded costs in the HUD that you don't realize. And I'll give you a prime example. Even though this one was on a second, I requested a copy of the HUD on the one that we just worked on, and there was an $11,000.
Would you tell them what a HUD is? There might be people on it that don't know what a HUD is.
A HUD is basically a summary of all of the expenses in reference to a closing. So any real estate commissions, any attorney fees, any special assessments on the property, if there's going to be a title policy, all of these fees you'll see on a preliminary HUD or a HUD. So we request a copy of the preliminary HUD before we actually agree to a dollar amount. And sometimes you can crunch those numbers to get a little bit more money on the back end or at the closing than what they think they're going to give you. So normally the real estate commission is 6 to 7%. We normally cut that to 4 to 5%. Just because, you know, if we're taking a hit, we feel like the realtor should take a hit too, especially if the realtor is representing the buyer and the seller. Another thing that you will see is the special assessments or the water bills sometimes are highly inflated. So I recommend that you call to verify that those bills actually are what they're saying on the HUD. I had my asset manager actually verify an $11,000 water bill on the HUD, and guess how much the water bill was? It was only $1,000. So they were basically hiding over $10,000 in the water bill. And if we had not have actually verified that information, we could have been giving away a lot of money. And what we were told was that, well, that was probably paid by the first lien holder, which was Aqua. And I didn't call him a liar, but I said, do you want me to believe that Aquin paid a water bill on a property that hasn't been paid on for 3 years? I don't think so. So it's a matter of calling them on the carpet when they think that they're pulling wool over your eyes to make them accountable for the money that you are going to get. So I took my $12,000 to $22,000, but that still wasn't acceptable for me because I wanted $40,000 off of this deal. They told me I was crazy. I told them, well, you want to close, and if you want to close, we're going to play ball and meet me halfway. So the halfway was $32,000 on an initial offer of $12,000.
I was hoping you'd save that. I was hoping you'd save that till last, because now everything is going to be anticlimactic from now on. But let's go through that again. A short sale normally doesn't pay us the best, correct? I mean,
correct.
A discounted payoff comes a lot sooner. You get your money a lot quicker. You can probably get a lot more. The same with a workout, where you get a workout and the homeowner pays for a period of time, and you sell that note to an investor who's looking for performing notes, and our profit margins there would be higher. However, here is a case where the property, we owned the note a second, by the way. Tell us what we paid for that note, Sabrina.
We paid quite a bit for this note, so it was basically making sure that we didn't take a huge loss on this particular loan. I think we paid more for than what we actually settled on the loan for.
Okay.
But I think it was maybe $36,000 to $38,000 that we paid for this particular note.
All right.
But it was in a fund, so you have to realize in that there's going to be some losses and there's going to be some gains, but the loss could have been much greater.
That's the whole point, is that I think we just about broke even on this note. Now, it took 2 years to do that and a lot of effort from you and Zane to get to the point where we got. I think it was Zane.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was Zane.
But people are so frightened about these seconds, and a short sale. We also have one that we gave $11,000 for that we're getting somewhere near $30,000 for in again, less than 2 years. But a lot of people that are involved in this business, they hear the number 8,500 and 12,000, and they think that's the end of the game. So can you tell us, where did that additional money come from between the 12,000 and the 32,000?
The buyer.
I don't understand that. Tell us how the buyer who's doing a short sale came up with that kind of money.
Well, I basically told them that I was holding firm on my number, and they told me, well, you know, if we go to foreclosure, you're going to be wiped. And I said, well, you're in New York, and I just checked the docket, and there's nothing set for sale. I said, so, you know, we're not budging. they were probably at least a year and a half to 2 years away from sale, and the buyer wanted the property. So if you want the property, you're going to pay for it, and I don't care where you get it from. And that's where I stood. I mean, they badgered Zane. They called Zane every single day. Did your manager make a decision? Did your manager make a decision? And I would get on the phone with them, and they knew they couldn't bully me. They couldn't overtalk me. And I just told them no. I said, well, I said, it's Friday, so we can talk about it on Monday, but my ruling has not changed. And it was really funny because at the end, I was able to joke with the manager at the brokerage. He was like, Sabrina, I'm going to be in Nevada. You want to meet me for a cup of coffee? I said, oh, we were world worst enemies when this started. And I said, and now we're friends because we're going to the closing table. So, you just have to hold your ground. And just because you're telling them no, I don't care if they call you 7 times a day. The answer is still no until you come up with a realistic number that works for you. Because if you don't agree and you don't produce a letter for them, they cannot close.
Okay, that wonderful. I have to tell, I'm going to ask you to give us some more success stories, but I want to give you one that was one of my very first notes that I ever bought. And I bought a tape and I threw a number at a loan that I did not want. And it was only like a $32,000 loan, happened to be in the Valley in California. I absolutely knew that it was going to be foreclosed on. For those of you outside of California, California is a trustee state. At the time, foreclosures happen fairly rapidly. They take a little longer now, but 111 days was the time frame back then. And I just knew that this loan was going to foreclosure. And so I offered less than $200 for a $32,000 note, and I put it in a drawer. We didn't even try to collect a dime on it. I figured it'd be a waste of time. About 3 years later, I got a call from a realtor in this town, and he said, what would you take for your note? We're doing a short sale. And I said, well, it's a $32,000 note. I'll take 8. And he said, all right, well, let me check with the first and see if they're agreeable to that. Well, he called the first, and of course they were not agreeable, but they gave me 5. So that is probably the biggest percentage home run I've ever hit. $200 to get $5,000 in a 3-year period. So short sales can be very, very good, and they are an exit strategy to keep you from losing money. Can you give us examples of some where you've actually done really well and why that happened?
I had one in California. It was probably back in the good old days. We paid a couple $1,000s for the note and left it sit in a drawer for a couple of years and really didn't do anything with it. And again, because our assignment was recorded, they were able to find us, got a call from the agent, and basically when the market crashed in California, some of those values went down, but as the market changed, the market went back up. So there was some equity actually above the first on this particular deal. And we didn't pay very much for the note, and we actually ended up getting about a $90,000 payoff on that loan. And it was huge, but it was one of those things that, like, you're never going to collect any money on this. Stick it in a drawer, and eventually, hopefully, the market will change. And that was our mindset. Stick it in a drawer and see if it'll grow. Just put some water on it every now and then, and it did. So those are the fortunate ones. But I also think there's another type of fortune in this is when you get a thank you letter from a homeowner saying thank you for helping me sell my home and giving me a fresh start. Where I had a letter from a homeowner, and she says, every time somebody knocked on my door, my heart sunk. because I thought that was going to be the day that somebody said, get out, just completely underwater. And she didn't understand about doing the short sale, what it meant. We helped her find a place in the same school district where her daughter was going to school, and she was able to come out on top. Those are rewarding stories as well. And it's not always about the financial gain. And we may have made a few $1,000s off of that note, but we were actually able to put it in to a nightmare for a homeowner and a borrower. And if we remember that while we are in this business, it's not always about making money. It's about doing what's best for the homeowner. Those are great success stories as well.
That's the whole thing, is that sometimes the homeowner just doesn't even know that a short sale is possible. And when you give them that information and tell them that you'll help them through it, there is a sigh of relief, because they know at some point in time they're going to happen to leave that house. And if you can help them and get them enough money to move or whatever out of the deal, not $10,000 that is a water bill that they didn't pay that they're going to take, really it again becomes helping the homeowner save whatever they can save. And you got to keep that in mind. A short sale is not the best way to go for a profit margin, although $2,000 note and return 90,000 isn't too bad. But it is a way, and it's a way to help out the homeowner. And then you're going to find people where they've already made up their mind they're leaving. And you just need to help them through the process, find an agent and manage the process for them. So thank you, Sabrina. Next week, we're going to talk about foreclosures, what to do if you're going to foreclose, what to do if there is a foreclosure, what can you as a second lien holder do with a foreclosure. And Sabrina's been through a number of them, and will be very helpful. If you have questions, be sure to get them into us. I thank you for attending, and keep in mind notemogul.com for if you are in the San Francisco area and have any interest in our seminar boot camp, 3 days in San Francisco, July 17th through 19th, where we'll be covering all of this stuff in great detail, very intensive 3 days. And Sabrina will be teaching bankruptcy, workouts, foreclosure, short sale. We'll be talking about raising capital, doing a PPM, starting a fund if that's what you want to do. So thank you for attending, and we'll see you next week at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Thanks, Sabrina.
Thanks. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us.